What is up, guys? Today we're gonna teach you how to backside board slide. All right, so what is a backside board slide? You may know, you may not know, and that is okay. But basically it is what we call a grind trick, also known as a slide trick. But basically it is the most basic fundamental rail slide that you can possibly do. So what it involves is you roll up to an obstacle, you get your board on, the wood is on the obstacle, you slide along the wood, and then you roll off into the sunset. So it's a fantastic trick for beginners and expert skaters alike. So let's tell you everything you need to know to do these for yourself or learn some tips about board slides in general. So the board slide is pretty much made up of three components, three separate pieces of this trick, and with doing this, we're gonna put them all together and then we're gonna complete a board slide. So the three pieces are: one, rolling up to the obstacle at the right approach. Number two, getting into the board slide and sliding. Number three, getting out of the board slide and rolling away. So with number one, approaching to the board slide, you want to approach similar to a parallel angle, but not a full parallel angle, and you don't want to be at a 90-degree angle either. So basically what I'm saying is you don't really want to be at a 45, but you want to just have a little bit of an angle, but mostly parallel with a slight incline leading into the obstacle. What I would say is if you were to do nothing, you would crash into the obstacle. So that's the trajectory that we're on. When we're on that trajectory, we need to time it that we're lifting our wheels on and it goes over the rail. If we lift them too early and miss the rail, no good. We lift them too late, we crash into the rail, or we go over the rail, no good. So we gotta get that timing perfect, and this is just something that comes with skating over time. Maybe there's a crack in the ground and you practice olling over that, you practice manualing over that. Those kind of skills will be really valuable in this kind of situation because everything is a time limit and timing, because you can only ollie in that one spot to make it work. So being comfortable with your timing is very, very important. The next phase is transitioning from rolling on the ground to sliding. Honestly, I think the biggest tip here is find a suitable obstacle. Don't go crazy and try to board slide the hardest thing because it's right in front of you. Really try to work up to it and start on this simpler curb style obstacle, the lowest possible thing and a wide thing, because you'll really feel more comfortable and be a lot safer than just really straight away going for the rail. But we've covered how to slide. You guys, you just got to push it forward, do it as short as possible. Don't overdo it. Then we're gonna make it off to the edge. Coming off the edge, you know, we need to apply 90 degrees. You know, if you come off the edge and land the same way you were sliding and tic-tac out, hey, that's okay. That's still a make. You still did it, and that is sick. But ideally, we want to turn out and have a smooth roll away, keep our momentum, keep our speed. So the biggest tip for that is that once you get used to sliding it, you say, oh, I kind of know what to expect from the slide. And then at the very end, you say, okay, now I'm going to start turning my shoulders. I'm going to start bracing for getting out of the obstacle. And you're just going to turn out, land, right out into the sunset. You know, a good tip of landing new tricks is just do an ollie next to it and get the feeling of landing, or even just put the board at the end, run up and jump on it to get the feeling of landing, because that mental barrier is a really important thing that you can improve on. So we use the word backside board slide, and it can be confusing. There's backside and front side. People are doing 180s, backside, front side. It can get very confusing. So it means when you're rolling up to the obstacle, if your back and butt is approaching the obstacle, that's a backside board slide. Coming in front side, if your chest and face is approaching, that's front side. And I know what you may immediately feel, whoa, you're sliding backwards on a front side and forwards on a backside. That's crazy. You are 100% correct. It is crazy, but that is just the way that it is, and we have to accept it for all that it is. So some skills that you want to have down before you attempt the board slide is you want to be really, really comfortable rolling around. You want to be pretty comfortable kick turning around, pushing, stopping, maybe even ollie already, maybe even shove it already. In general, you want to be feeling very good about skating in general and your progression so far, because board slide is a little bit of a trick where to learn it, you probably are going to fall down, probably are going to feel very vulnerable, very uncomfortable sliding out. So you need to accept those things before learning it and just be really confident and slowly progress to things that are within your skill set. My favorite thing to teach board slides on for people to learn it for the first time, it is pretty much a parking block. Anything that is kind of really low to the ground, and even if it's wide, it's good, because what we want to get used to the feeling of is really just turning into the board slide and stalling. We don't need to worry about sliding. We don't need to worry about anything. We don't need to ollie in. We're just going to turn in and do a stall, because if you can do that, that pretty much is doing a board slide, honestly. But that's the most fundamental thing that we want to practice. So first things first is let's just focus on getting those front wheels over the obstacle, putting our weight on and just trying to stall. If you are gonna learn this on a rail for the first time, I wouldn't really recommend doing this because on a rail, you can't really balance stationary. It is a bit more difficult. So if you try to do this on a rail, be very careful that you might slip out. Next thing is we can try to get out of the board slide. Now, when we are doing these with our full momentum, typically the rail will end and then we can begin to turn out. But while we're just practicing the stalls, we can really just roll up, try to stall it, and just try to kick turn out. You just lift it up, put our wheels on the ground, and kick turn out and ride away. And if you can do that, you're so close to doing a board slide, but I just recommend practicing that as much as you can. Feel really comfortable transferring your weight onto the obstacle and then getting out. Now, honestly, the next thing that we have to do is really just make sure that our surface is suitable for grinding. Maybe we want to wax it. Maybe we see other skaters grinding it. It's a good indication if it is appropriate. If we get that information, we can just try to go very slow, try to get into the board slide with a little bit of momentum and just try to slide it. Now, I don't want you to slide and fall the way down or commit to putting all your weight on. I really just really lightly just try to slide and just get ready to step off and see what happens. And if you can just get used to the feeling of transferring and sliding, then you're getting closer and closer to the board slide. Eventually, what we want to work up to is keeping our weight on the obstacle. So we come up to the board slide, we get it on real slow, we slide just a little bit, maybe we stop, then we get out just like we did. Boom! Congratulations, you have officially slid your very first board slide. So that is an amazing achievement and you should keep going. Then the only thing to do next is go faster and faster and then keep up that momentum, slide the whole thing, get to the end, turn out, and that is an official board slide. Where you can take it from there is higher rail, really ollie on, slide, get out, and then boom, you got them down, you're ready to learn some new tricks, ready to take it to all the obstacles. Troubleshooting. Things sometimes go wrong in skateboarding, that's the way it is. And with a board slide, it's the same as every other trick. Some of the common things that can go wrong is you get onto the rail, boom, slip back. The board shoots out from you, and your legs go up in the air and you fall backwards. We do not want this to happen. That's why I want you to come in as slow as you possibly can. Sometimes you may start slipping, but you just gotta get your skills up and get the intuition of, oh, I need to take my feet off the board because if I don't, I'm gonna fall. So the more you can build those skills, the safer you typically will be. I know as a beginner skater, it can be daunting and scary. And sometimes you do just need to fall down a couple of times, not too badly, but if you just fall down, get used to being on the ground and getting back up, then you say, oh, you know what? That wasn't that bad. I feel pretty confident in my ability to improve at dealing with the situations when I do slip out. Another thing you can do is stick and fall forward. You do not want to do this one either. And the biggest reason for this is that maybe the surface isn't suitable for grinding. Maybe your trucks or wheels get in the way and you don't get a clean grind. And the reason that that could happen is you come in too fast, those things occur, then you fall really forward very hard. If you're going a little bit slower and those things happen, you're probably gonna be able to step off the board, know when to step off the board and not fall down on your face. So going slower and working up to it can definitely really save you on that one. One other thing that could happen is you make it to the end of the obstacle, then maybe you land 90 degrees, maybe you fall kind of uncontrolled. These are things that you're just gonna have to deal with. That's why I recommend starting as shortest possible slides you can just to get really used to it, because the longer you're on the rail, the more time the balance can change and things can go wrong. So if you're landing 90, you don't want to fall back onto the obstacle. You want to try to keep your momentum going forward and just fall away from the obstacle, stumble away if you're out of control, and just really try to build up that intuition of knowing when to kick the board away, when to step off the board.
All right, so board slide would be like one of the easier tricks when it comes to skating rails for me. I think that board slide was the least intimidating out of all the slides, grinds. It's right there next to no slide. Board slide and no slide are both in the same category, as in like, I'm gonna actually try this. I'm not afraid, and it looks really cool. It's also one of the basics, which is the best, because it being one of the basics and looking cool just overall makes everything about it make you feel good, because whenever you do it, you're just on a rail sliding. So backside board slide, you can start doing this once you get ollies, honestly. It just depends on like how confident you are and how willing you are to go for it. As a beginner that's been skating probably for like a month or two, this is not that hard of a trick if you try it on a curb. You just wax up the curb and then you just start going for it. And I say that because curbs tend to be like this high, just probably like a foot, probably, even less. So you could just wax it all and be confident in like getting on and sliding. Usually I like to lean forward and not too much back. Back tends to, I just slip out. And when you slip out, you just go, the board shoots out. In some cases, when you lean forward, your body just flies forward, which it happens. Usually it happens when a rail's not waxed or you lock in kind of crooked. So what I mean by crooked, you lock in like that, not like this. And when you lock in like that, you're gonna kind of fly forward. To prevent a lot of those things, you wanna make sure that you wax your board all over in the middle. So, you know, like wax on, wax off motion, you know, Miyagi style. So you wanna do that. Make sure that the obstacle that you are skating is comfortable to your wax, and from there, it's all about committing on the rail. Most people, whenever they go for it, they tend to do this on the rail, like that. Or when they actually get in, they go all the way down. Think about it this way. It's like you're teeter-tottering. And whenever you teeter-totter, you're just trying to stay in the middle. So another actual really good method that can help you understand what a board slide is if you get a 2 liter of soda and you fill it up with water, and you just make sure it's tight. You make sure that it has no trucks, your board, and it's just the deck, like this. No trucks, that means no trucks. And then you just try to learn how to stay balanced on that 1 liter. And that is exactly what a rail feels like. If you get in, not if, but when you hop onto it, that's what you're doing basically. So if you could do that on a 1 liter, go to the curb. Once you do the curb, then I would suggest if your local has a flat bar, and it's not too tall, that's when you take those methods from the 2 liter to the curb to the flat bar. And when I say flat bar, it doesn't have to necessarily be a square rail. I just call all rails flat bars if they're on flat ground. Another thing that some people might find easier is whenever they go to fakie, because for me personally, whenever I do long rails, like when I'm going for a long board slide, I just do the best I can to stay centered, and then my body starts slowly shifting to fakie. And that's not a bad thing, it's just I'm making sure that I'm balanced and I'm following where my body's going with it. So like I'm going with the flow. It's not that I'm going against it, I'm just naturally going with it so I can control that board slide. So that's what I think about a board slide. I personally think this is one of the coolest tricks because it leads you into knowing what to do for a front lip. A front lip is just going at a rail front side and you get on like you would for a board slide. So this is the rail and I hop over like that. But that's for another trick tip. For me, board slide is one of the coolest. I would really recommend to go do this because it just makes you feel better as a skateboarder, learning new tricks and having a basic that's a slide. You get that confidence, and it's much cooler than a no slide in my opinion. No slide's really easy to get on because you just, but board slide, that's another level of looking cool. So if you're trying to look cool, definitely go for the board slide. That's what I have to say for my tips.
Mo with the hot take.
I'm just giving them this is my personal opinion and perspective based off of how long I've been skateboarding. I've been skateboarding for 17 years. You don't have to take my opinion too serious. This is just literally how I look at that trick in particular. I like board slides are really cool. And when you have that down, and it makes you feel confident because you're just building on building. And then from there you could, like, as you become better at skateboarding, you could nollie into it. Nollie board slide, kickflip board slide, front shove board slide. And the possibilities just keep becoming endless. And that's what I love about skateboarding. It just never ends because that's just one trick. Think about it, board slide. You're doing all these tricks into a board slide. That's not a 50-50, that's not a front feeble. That means that everything you just did onto a board slide is possible onto any other trick. That's all I wanna say. I hope y'all enjoy my tips, my perspective, because like, honestly, that's seriously one of the coolest basic slide grind tricks in our, like, you know, artistic world.
All right, so board slides are a very fun trick. They are pretty much the stepping stone for all grinds and slides, which are amazing, and I love doing them so much. So once you learn it, keep pushing it, keep progressing. Maybe eventually you take it to the handrail, maybe you take it over a giant pool in a parking lot. Who knows? There's endless possibilities to do, and it is a very fun trick. So I hope this has helped you guys. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions, queries. If you say, this always happens to me, let us know, and then we can try to help you get your board slides down, and keep trying. It doesn't come overnight. That's the most important thing of learning any trick in skateboarding is keep trying. Do not give up. You can do it. Just, you gotta believe that you can, and keep going. That is it for this video. There are some videos right there. Subscribe, like, leave it in the comments below. I want you to learn how to skateboard, and we have everything you need on brailleskateboarding.com.